नमस्कार मित्रों, गुड इवनिंग, राम राम। अगर आपके पास एक प्रैक्टिसिंग हिंदू आए, एक यंग हिंदू जो बहुत ही डेडिकेटेड है अपने इष्ट देव के प्रति, प्रैक्टिसिंग हिंदू है, मैथमेटिशियन है, फिजिसिस्ट है, ब्रिलियंट है, पर शास्त्र भी पढ़े हुए हैं, और अगर वो आपको आके बोले कि देखिए मैंने एक थ्योरी बनाई है, एक मॉडल बनाया है जो भगवान को, सृष्टि को, कर्म को और यहां तक कि मोक्ष को भी एक मैथमेटिकल मॉडल में डाल सकता है, तो क्या आपको आश्चर्य होगा, इंटरेस्ट होगा, क्या होगा? मुझे तो बहुत इंटरेस्ट हुआ, मुझे आश्चर्य भी हुआ और मुझे लगा कि मुझे इसमें और डीप जाना चाहिए। आज के हमारे गेस्ट हैं तेजस्वी गुरव, एक यंग हिंदू हैं, आईआईटी से हैं, आयरलैंड से। उन्होंने अपना मास्टर्स किया हुआ है कंप्यूटर साइंस में और एक हार्डकोर प्रैक्टिसिंग सनातनी है। उन्होंने एक बहुत ही एम्बिशियस काम किया है। मैं तो यहां तक कहूंगा कि उन्होंने एक बहुत बड़ा काम किया है। उन्होंने पूरी सृष्टि का, कर्म सिद्धांत का, मोक्ष का, भगवान के लॉज का एक मैथमेटिकल मॉडल बनाया है, एक थ्योरी बनाई है, और ये थ्योरी शास्त्रों के साथ पूरी तरह से अलाइंड है, ये वो कहते हैं। तो मैथमेटिकल मॉडल है पूरी सृष्टि का, कर्म सिद्धांत का, भगवान का भी आप कह सकते हैं, पर वो पूरी तरह से शास्त्रों से अलाइंड है। और आज मैंने तेजस्वी गुरव जी को बुलाया है कि वो हमें अपनी इस थ्योरी के बारे में समझाएं, ये मॉडल सिखाएं। उन्होंने एक पुस्तक लिखी हुई है, उस पुस्तक का नाम है Vedic Theory of Consciousness Emanating from the Super Consciousness। ये बहुत ही इंटरेस्टिंग थ्योरी है। मैंने उनकी 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 पुस्तक पढ़ी है इस पे, और मैं चाहूँगा कि वो आज इसको हमारे समक्ष रखें और हमारे जो प्रश्न हैं उनको आंसर करें। आज का ये जो डिस्कशन होगा ज़्यादातर इंग्लिश में होगा। तेजस्वी एक नेटिव हिंदी स्पीकर हैं, इनफैक्ट यूपी या मध्य प्रदेश से हैं, मैं उनसे पूछूंगा। बट क्योंकि ये मैथमेटिकल मॉडल है, इसमें फिजिक्स की बात भी होगी, तो उन्हें लगा कि इसको इंग्लिश में करना चाहिए। सो वी विल बी डूइंग दिस इन इंग्लिश। मैं आपसे मिलता हूँ प्रोमो के बाद। युद्ध, रक्षा, शेयर्स, निवेश, आइए इनकी गहराइयों में जाते हैं। तेजस्वी नमस्कार, राम राम।
Namaste, Akshay ji, Ram Ram, and thank you for that wonderful introduction.
Not at all, Tejasvi, not at all. I was absolutely stunned, intrigued, and also challenged after reading your book. It is truly a work of great effort कि you have taken the shastras, you have, to the best of my knowledge, you have ensured that you have 100% fidelity to the shastras, no deviation from the shastras at all. I could just see it from the book itself that you have deep inherent bhakti to Bhagwan and to and in his Jagannath form, who is your Ishtadev. At the same time, you have translated all of that into a mathematical model. So I think it is truly astounding, and we will delve deep into it. So Tejasvi, just tell me a little bit about your background. Tell our viewers about your background. आप वैसे तो हिंदी स्पीकिंग हैं, आप यूपी से हैं?
Originally, I'm from Jharkhand.
Jharkhand. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
where did you get the inspiration for this? Tell us a little bit about your childhood. Just tell us a bit about yourself.
Sure. So just one small basically correction that the name of my book is Bhagwan the Abstraction, and uh, uh, the basically the subheading is what you said is the Vedic theory of consciousness emanating from super consciousness. Yeah, that's just one adage that I would like to say to your like basically introduction about my. And now back to your question. So basically, my name is Tejasvi Gaurav, and I did my graduation. You already introduced me. So basically, I did my BTech from IIT BHU, and then I did my masters from Ireland, and then I stayed in Ireland for about 7 to 8 years before returning to India. And while I was in Ireland, I got married to my wife also, and my wife is also a staunch Sanatani, and she was always always ritualistic and always a stronghold on the ritual side of Sanatana Dharma. While about myself, I would say that yes, I was also interested in seeking the truth. So I always approached Sanatana Dharma from the angle of seeking the truth. It always intrigued me, and I was also deeply basically deeply intrigued about Bhagwan and what Bhagwan is and what this how this cosmos come into being. So I would say that definitely once I married to my wife, she brought me closer to the dharma also, and I started doing puja sadhana also on a daily basis, and that brought me closer to the ritualistic side of the dharma also. And meanwhile, I continued my passion for understanding and finding out the nature of reality, nature of truth, and exploring the physics. So that was always my passion. And coincidentally, when I returned to India in 2020. I had no plans to return. We had no plans to return. It is just that we came here for a short visit during the festival of Holi in 2020, March 2020, and our flight was on March 22nd, 2020, and on the same day, general lockdown was announced by our Prime Minister ji, and due to which our plans to return got postponed and eventually got, I would say, cancelled. So I would say Bhagwan had definitely other plans for us. Uh, uh, so while I stayed back in India, I continued searching for jobs here and continued, working from home. And I landed a good job here in India. So yeah, we decided to stay back in India itself. And around 2021, my wife also conceived our first son. So at that time also, I would say that I became more dharmic and more spiritual. I started reading some of the shastras, and I also read Kali Hanuani and Vedic Vigyan. So both of them gave this foundation, basically built this foundation uh, for the understanding and conceptualization of this model that is explained in this book. So yeah, that has been the about myself and the journey into writing this book.
Uh, Thank you, Tejasvi. So just speak a
Yeah.
little louder if you don't mind.
Oh, okay, sure.
Just a little louder. Okay.
Yeah, sure,
So
sure.
your book is called Bhagwan and Abstraction.
Yeah, Bhagwan the Abstraction. Yeah.
Bhagwan the Abstraction. And in this book, will it be right for me to say that you've got a mathematical model of Bhagwan, of the physical creation, of karma, and indeed of moksha also?
Uh,
Sort of a
Probably.
Hindu
Uh,
theory of everything.
yeah, it is a Hindu theory of everything, definitely, because it explains the emergence of cosmos directly from Bhagwan. So definitely, I would say, yeah, I would say definitely touches on the several aspects of the creation and how they correlate directly with the 10 Mahavidyas, for example, or and or with Sri Hari. So in a way, you can say that yes, this model itself is a theory of everything that explains the whole creation process and also the law of karma. This is the first time ever that uh, anyone has modeled the law of karma mathematically. So that is something. Other than that, like definitely there are theories of everything out there, and definitely there is Sankhya Darshan also that talks about the emergence of cosmos. So my book is in agreement with those darshanas also, but it just goes one step further and actually models the law of karma also based on that theory. So that's what the gist of this book is. And the takeaway for the readers would be here that okay, people used to like think of that okay, where is the proof of Bhagwan, and where is the how do you know that you know our shastras are true, right? And how can we believe what is written in the Vedas? So at least this gives us a chance to explore that. This gives us an opportunity to explore that aspect of the shastras mathematically and actually explain that okay, shastras are indeed insightful and definitely true in regard to how this cosmos has emerged, and it definitely just shows that Bhagavan exists everywhere, whether it is in Sukshma Roop, it's in subtle form, or whether as an avatar to and whereby he basically comes in every yuga to protect dharma. So yeah, that would be uh, basically the gist of the book.
So, Tejasvi, please explain your book and the model uh,
Yeah,
uh, to our viewers and to me again as well.
sure, sure. So basically, before that, I would like to preface this explanation with the current understanding of the nature of reality as it is in the scientific world, right? So modern physics seeks a unified theory in order to explain basically the laws of physics that is arising basically as a from a singular source and it and happening naturally, right, rather than happening through let's say an entity or through a godlike figure, right? So modern physics stance is quite I would say agnostic on this, right? It seeks this unified theory such as string theory or quantum loop gravity theories. So, but the thing is, they fall short. String theory is 11 dimensions, uh, sort of force a single cosmic recipe or cosmic outcome, and assumes that unified that forces unify at some point. While the quantum gravity explains gravity as a quantization of space, quantization just like space time, and then explains the other force fields emerging from the standard model. So both mix consciousness and the non-physical phenomena. Like I would say, there are some aspects that science may not have been able to explain. For example, telepathy, or let's say foretellings, right? Or Vedic insights that comes from astrology, Vedic astrology. So on the other hand, my theory is that my Vedic theory of consciousness emanating from super consciousness is aligned with the quantum field theory and uses a multidimensional consciousness vector space to explain that okay, this creation might appear from an underlying consciousness itself rather than emerging from whether it is whatever string theory projects emerge from strings or quantum loop gravity projects that it emerges from these particles. While assuming that gravity is an inherent property of space-time. So that is the main, I would say, difference between my theory and the other theories of everything. That it assumes that it posits that okay, consciousness is at the is fundamental to this creation, whereas the other theories of everything they don't posit consciousness to be central to this aspect of creation, rather than it posits space time is fundamental. So that's the main difference between the theories of the other theories of everything and my theory of everything. So now I would like to basically move on to the model itself, and then we'll talk a bit more about the implications of the model. So the model itself is pretty straightforward. Basically, we have the consciousness vector that's transforms under Ahankar matrix and gives rise to an experience, conscious experience. So the consciousness vector itself is an abstraction. It's a 12. It actually spans a 12-dimensional vector space, and this 12 dimensional, the reason for 12 dimensional is also mentioned in the book. if your readers can want to actually explore it in more detail. But essentially, I was able to show that this 12-dimensional consciousness vector actually maps to the 10 Mahavidyas. So this is mapping where we have the 10 Mahavidyas, where Tripur Sundari appears instead of once, she appears thrice. So that's the reason that we can directly map this 12 consciousness, the vectors with the 12 aspects or 12 dimensions directly to the 10 Mahavidyas. And then it transforms under this Ahankar matrix uh, and then gives rise to this conscious experience in three modes: Sattvic mode, Rasic mode, and Tamasic mode. Uh, and this is this essentially is the basis for the everything. Like it explains everything. It goes on to explain any um, object or any entity in this creation, right? So I have taken it one step further, that I actually reduce the karma matrices that can transform the ahankar matrices also. And then so basically we have the karma matrices acting on the ahankar matrix, and then ahankar matrix itself acts on the consciousness vector, this 12-dimensional consciousness vector, and gives rise to this three-dimensional consciousness experience, or what we call as qualia. So qualia is essentially this internal symmetry in a way, or that the conscious being experiences. So in my theory, everything is conscious. It's not just that living beings are conscious. Everything is conscious. As I mentioned before, I prefaced it before that uh, consciousness is a fundamental aspect of creation. So everything is conscious in that way. It's just that there are different levels or dimensions of consciousness, and we go on as so far to uh, basically explain the different levels of consciousness up to all the way up to the 12 dimensions. And these 12 dimensions are actually arise due to the 24 avatars of Bhagawan. We know that there are 24 avatars of Bhagawan, right? So how does that mapping work? Because each of these 12 dimensions can be it can be set in a complex complex value setting rather than a real value setting. So now each of these dimensions have two aspects: a real value aspect and a complex value aspect. So there you go. Each dimension can have two dimensional or two valued aspect, and then each for your 12 dimensions, you have 12 into 2, 24 different aspects, and these 24 different aspects actually relate to 24 avatars of Bhagwan. So yeah, that's the model there, and then we have these three modes: Sattvic, Rasic, and Tamasic mode, under which this conscious vector can transform to give rise to this quality. Yeah, and then the karma matrices can in turn act on the on the hankar matrices to essentially transform this experience. So essentially, what you are saying that what is Ahankar matrix? Ahankar matrix is everything everything that the consciousness identifies itself with, right? It's everything that consciousness identifies itself with, and karma matrices can in turn act on the Ahankar matrices to actually transform it. So that's the equation there. And now I also went and explained how the karma matrix itself can lead to a sabhav, creating the sabhav aspect. And eventually I discussed about law of karma also. Now let's discuss some of the implications here. Okay, so one of the implications is that 12-dimensional consciousness space, right, as opposed to 11 dimensions in string theory. So in 11-dimensional string theory, it produces a fixed recipe for the creation to emerge, right? So it explains that okay, using this 11-dimensional string vibrating in these 11 dimensions, we can form these all the particles, including graviton, and that will give rise to all the forces. It means that it poses that at some point all these particles and forces, they were one as strings. This so my theory is just opposed against this string theory of 11 dimensions, that okay, instead of strings, we have consciousness vibrating in this 12-dimensional vector space that gives rise to the fundamental forces, and also aligning with QFT standards and standard model of physics. Next thing is we have qualia as an internal symmetry. I already mentioned that qualia is a subjective experience. We can explain it using an internal symmetry that the consciousness equation explains. Uh, and the next implication is that Atman goes through a dynamic path. That okay, Atman is definitely under the influence of Ahankar matrices and Karma matrices, but it does have a free will in the short term. It's not like it doesn't have a free will; it does have a free will in the short term. And but over an infinite period of time, it actually mirrors the life structures and eternity, and it gives rise to a symmetrical experience. And uh, other implications are that okay, there is definitely local consciousness phenomena where we have this local consciousness giving rise to local mind, local intelligence, and local body, which local body itself is composed of 5 different types of elements: air, the space, air, uh, fire or fermions, water or bosons, and then earth or composite matter. Whereas the cosmic consciousness undergoes to give rise to cosmic mind, cosmic intelligence, and cosmic body. Uh, the next implication is that we can measure the karmic debt. And what is karmic debt? Basically, the model that I propose, using that we can calculate its deviation from the ideal, the Narayani matrices. Narayani matrices are sort of this benchmark for measuring karma. They are perfect. They represent perfect karma. Right? They represent the embodiment of bhakti yoga. You can say so. So this is the first world's first karma. So using this model, we can actually create a karma calculator, and my model actually does that. And as I've also shared the tool with you, the link with you, you can also share it with the viewers. And this is the first of a kind karma calculator, world's first of a kind karma calculator that will help you reduce the karmic debt on a day-to-day basis. If you regularly check in and based on the remedies that I provide, it will help the users reduce their karmic debt and overcome the issues they are having in their life, whether it is related to their jobs or marriage or any personal problems that they have in life. All this might happen due to the karmic debt. So using this tool, they can actually improve their quality of life. They can and using tool they can track the karma, and based on the remedies that I provide, they can actually reduce the karmic debt in their life and align with the path of bhakti, align on the path of bhakti, and then Bhagwan himself will take care of making sure that your life is a peaceful one and a good one. It also embraces time travel. It is actually in agreement with time travel in terms of if you can go back in past. Just that there's some constraints there. That okay, even if you go back in past, there are some you are limited by the outcomes. The outcomes are constrained. For example, if I went back in the past, in let's say in 2008, and I bought bitcoins at that point in time, that doesn't mean that back in 2025 I'll become a trillionaire. The reason being that maybe I might have lost those bitcoins along the way. It is possible. So even if you go back in time and try to change the outcome, something else might happen. So essentially, this means that the outcomes are constant. Uh, if you were to go back in time, it doesn't disagree with that. You can go back in time. It's just that due to the internal symmetries and the karma matrices, this it limits the number of outcomes itself. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it about the model and the implications on a high level. And if you want, we can go deeper and discuss them in more detail.
So I have a few questions.
Yeah.
Actually, I've written them down. So I think the first one is, let's talk about your ego matrix, right?
Yeah. Ankar
So
matrix.
now you say that ego matrix shapes the consciousness. Now, for a layperson, is this like saying that our ego filters everything we experience? So, what is the ego and how does it shape the consciousness and how does it actually filter it?
Uh, so basically, ego matrix or Ahankar matrix directly acts on your consciousness or on your consciousness, and whatever you experience as part of your daily life, right? Whether you are having some food and you enjoyed the food, or whether you are let's say sleeping. In that case, also you have some experience that you're having a peaceful sleep, or you had that dreams, bad dreams or good dreams, or let's say whether the whole point is that whether you are conscious or unconscious, like conscious in the sense ki whether you are actually consciously uh, or actively interacting with day-to-day objects, or whether you are unconsciously interacting with them. Ahankar matrix is a part of like that transformation. It is essentially you, your body, your family. Living being has an Ahankar matrix. Everyone has. Like all the and all the objects in this universe, all the particles, all of them are under the influence of this Ahankar matrix, right? So you have the conscious vector, that is the main vector, but that itself can transform, right, under the influence of some matrix, and that's what the Ahankar matrix is. It's I would say it is anything that we identify with, or if you are saying that okay, if you take for example talk about an electron, right? So how do we identify it's an electron, right? We associate it with electromagnetic forces. So we have the forces there that actually can be part of this Ahankar matrices, right? Or if you talk about an object that you have thrown, so it is going under this laws of motion, right? It is going under the influence of gravity. Uh, it's subjected to the Einstein's field equations are subject to the laws of motion. So those constants, those uh, constants there that direct the path of that particle, right? That itself becomes a Ahankar matrix. So Ahankar matrix is like an operation that happens on the consciousness vector.
Ahamkar matrix is an operation that happens on the consciousness vector. Okay.
Yes.
But so how would this work in a personal relationship, for example? How would the Ahamkar matrix work on a relationship between husband and wife?
Uh, so we'll have to. That's what we have to see, that like each interaction that has to be modeled. Any interaction that happens between two individuals, that has to be modeled. So ultimately, it goes all the way down to the 10 Mahavidyas, right? How can we map each of those vector elements to each of the Mahavidya, right? For example, first one is Mahakali, and then second one is Matara. So ultimately, we have this consciousness vector where each of these attributes can correspond to an Mahavidya, and similarly, we have the some value, how matrix multiplication works, right? You have this n into one vector, and then you have m into n matrix that you multiply them. So each of these values in the each of the elements in the in the matrix itself uh, directly acts on the vector itself, the vector, um, the attributes of the vector itself, and then each of these vector attributes can be essentially aligned with the Mahavidyas. So in a way, we can say that um, what aspect of that interaction is that what you want to model, and what Mahavidyas are influencing that interaction, right? So it's a bit of an abstract explanation, but if I were to give a more a better example, is that like better example was I already gave an example. If you throw an object, let's say, right, it follows a path, it follows a geodesic. So that geodesic is explained using these 10 independent equations of Einstein's field equation. So those also each of those 10 uh, equations can be actually related to the 10 Mahavidyas directly. That's what I have explained in the book. On the other hand, a more so that's like a physical sort of interaction, right? That we are modeling. On the other hand, if you are talking about a more psychological interaction, right? We'll have to study each of the like each such interaction that is happening, right? What is the impact that is happening? So this goes back to our Vedic astrology actually. That's why we have 12 houses in Vedic astrology, right? 12 houses here are represented by these Ankar matrix 12 let's say columns, right? So now we have to study, okay, what was that interaction about? In that way, we have to study in okay, at that particular time or at that particular muhurat, that interaction happened. Where were the planets at that particular time, right? Where were the planets at a particular time, at that particular instant? And then we can see, okay, in that we can form a chart based on that. That's what astrologers do, Vedic astrologers do, right? They will advise you whether it is a good muhurat for starting a business or starting or getting married or whatever. Is it a good time to talk about some sensitive matter with your wife or with your parents? So all those things come into play here, right? The entire Vedic astrology calculation will come into play here. So it has a profound impact. If you profound, I would say, you have to actually talk. But my point is that this is what this model opposites, right? If you think about it, this is what it implies, that okay, Vedic, you can use this model to study those interactions also, not just physical interactions or physical um, uh, whatever trajectories, but real day-to-day interactions also.
Okay. My next question was karma matrix, right? So this is the
Okay.
most important thing for us because all of us want to know कि भाई हमारा इस action का result क्या होगा. So you are saying that you can, every individual entity, every conscious or humanity, for example, man, tries to maximize Kij. So what does this mean for a person making choices in life? What is this maximization? And what are the two dimensions? K, subscript I and J. What is I? What is J? And what does this mean for somebody making choices in life?
Okay, that's a good question. Uh, so karma matrices, as I mentioned, that they can transform your Ankar matrices, right? So we have this setup here as per the equation, right? We have this 12 into 1 consciousness vector. Then we have this Ankar matrices 3 into 12 Ankar, dimensional Ankar matrices. And then naturally we have this 3 into 3 karma matrices acting on Ankar matrices. So essentially we have this equation here. So it automatically means that, okay, karma matrices there are 9 elements in karma matrix, right? So what are these 9 elements? Essentially, you can say that in a way they represent the 9 forms of Durga, Ma Durga, right? That's why it's the perfection of karma matrix is something we call as irony matrices, right? And in Tantric mode, it becomes essentially the 9 planets that we essentially study in the Vedic astrology. So, what do these subscripts mean? I and J. So, I is the row number and J is the column number, right? So, what does each of these rows mean? So, the first row represents represents your past karma. The second row represents your present karma, and the third row represents your future karma. So, one's perception of your past, of his past karma or his present karma or future karma. That is what this embodiment of the karma matrix is. Now, everyone wants to. What I mean to say is that everyone wants to maximize it. The maximization means here is that they want to make sure that each they are able to succeed in each action that they do. That's what the whole point is. All these are kind of represent probabilities. If you think about it, they're represent probabilities. So you want the probability to be 1, probability of an action to be 1. If you want to actually engage in that, right? So you want that probability to be 1. So that's what it means here. That you want to maximize that aspect, so that it is most fruitful to you. But due to the nature of the matrix multiplication and the Markov chain, like MCMC chain, these matrices become constrained over a period of time, and they become your swabhav. So now swabhav leads to this constraint that, okay, you are trying to maximize something in a row, but you will end up lowering the other elements in the row, and that's what gives the law of karma. Gives us the law of karma. I said that's a karmic debt, essentially. That's, yeah, yeah. So yeah, basically 9 matrices represent the perfection of your karma, essentially. Of like we have these 9 actions here, right? That we are depicting in the karma matrix. So what is the perfect state? Like if we have like for each of these actions, we have the probability of 1, right? That corresponds to the perfection of that karma. So now you can use that those matrices as benchmark and calculate the distance from your actual swabhav, Soumya Swabhav, and that gives you the karmic debt there. So that's what Nari Matis are. They return the perfection of karma that align you to bhakti. Basically, you can say they are the epitome of bhakti yoga. I would say bhakti yoga. If someone is in bhakti yoga, he's actually blessed by this Narayani Swabhav. Narayani matrices are actually part of his Swabhav. So he's protected by Bhagwan at all times. He knows like he's one he gets some siddhis like vak siddhi, all those siddhis he can get, uh, and he whatever he does it will be successful. But yeah, the condition is that you have to be in bhakti yoga. Then only that Nayani matrices become part of the Swabhav. You are protected from any unfortunate unfortunate incidents. You're protected from his happenings. No one can hurt like no one can cast a bad eye on you, or even like whatever endeavors you do dedicated to Bhagwan, so that those endeavors will succeed. So yeah, there are many benefits of being in bhakti yoga, and that's the one of the main reasons that uh, that I have built this tool so that it can empower people to actually align with bhakti yoga and improve their overall quality of life. So you can definitely share that link with them, where they can actually try out their karmic debt, they calculate the karmic debt, and reach out to me for remedies.
Yeah, I think thing with that link is it asks for an email address as well. So some people may or may not be comfortable giving their email address. Would you have a situation where um people can get the answers without giving an email address? I mean, I can put that link up. I don't have a problem. Those who want to give email
Sure.
addresses can give it.
Then the thing is that how will I contact them? Like if they submit the form, now how will they like get the scores, and
Acha, so
how will I
you
contact?
take you take it and then you put it in through some other model and calculate it and all that. Okay,
Yes,
fair
yes,
enough.
and it is in an asynchronous process because the nature of this is that I give them enough time to basically think about the solution, like think about the answers to the questions. If they want to revisit the submission, they can revisit. So it's an asynchronous process. I give them enough time, and within 1 day or so,
Yeah.
I reply to them with their karma score essentially, and with
Okay.
the next steps for remedying their life. So that's the reason that I need some contact ID, right?
Okay.
Like,
I will put the link in the description, or
sure.
the people who want to do that are welcome to do it. It's between you and them. I just want to dig into this a little bit more.
Uh-huh.
Now, you said the Narayani matrices represent perfect karma.
Hmm.
So, what would perfect karma look like in a person's life?
Yeah, definitely. It depends. Basically, who is in bhakti, right? He will dedicate his. So first of all, what are each of these? Uh, Basically, what do each of these 9 elements mean? First, we have to understand 9 matrix elements mean. The first one represents the essentially um, if like someone who has tried to hurt you, right? That's the first house there, that someone has tried to hurt you. Then or how was the experience, and do you have that regret, the memory of that experience, and it still affects you, still haunts you? Then the second element represents to have you do you have remorse or regrets uh, uh, in your life? If you still hold on to these regrets. And the third one represents okay, do you have any bad habits or uh, you know or bad behavior, or so basically similar to this, all these so all these elements have some meaning there. So essentially, the when you're in perfect state, then essentially you will not have any. I would say your swabhav will be pure in a way that okay, it, you won't unnecessarily hurt someone in a way. I'm just saying. For example, in these three examples that I gave, right? You won't have any bad behavior unnecessarily. You won't have any bad language. You won't have bad thoughts. You won't have bad habits, right? Or or someone even if someone would have tried to hurt you, you would have be actively, you know, in actively taking a stand for yourself, not be like I would say a thick skin and ignore whatever right, whatever bad things they go and they say about you. So yeah, this is an example there. So essentially, perfect karma there is like what would a bhakt do in that case? It's similar to that. He would actually take stands there for dharma, right? For Bhagwan, for dharma, and so that's the embodiment of that Narayani matrices. That's what it represents.
Yeah, because the question that comes to mind here is ki you said bad, bad, bad. Now bad is a subjective definition. To my mind,
Mhm.
the only effective definition of bad is what is there in the shastras. So for example, in Gita, what
Okay.
so killing your enemy is not bad. Killing the enemy
No.
by any means possible is not bad because you're doing it in the line of dharma. Then the question
Yeah.
is that what is the
Exactly.
definition of dharma? So I won't get into all that, but
Ah.
does the definition of dharma, which then gives the definition of good and bad, does your model explicitly give that, or it just comes out from your matrix math, all this complicated mathematics you do? तो आपने इसमें इतना काफी mathematics है इसमें. There are lots of equations, there are lots of
So.
matrices. So does it come out automatically? Is that an input you give?
Uh, so yeah, it will. I would say that it's an input that the user will enter, right? Basically, his consciousness is guide. Basically, everyone's consciousness guides them in a way. So they sort of know when they think about it, when they take away these questions, to try to answer these questions
No, no,
in
no,
a silent
no.
room.
I'm
Yeah.
not talking about your questionnaire.
Huh.
I'm talking about the model. I'm talking
Yeah.
about ki in your Vedic theory of consciousness emanating from the superconsciousness, this whole mathematical structure, this mathematical model that you have that you've given in the book, what is the definition of good and bad there? And is that definition endogenous to the model or is it exogenous to the model?
Uh, so yeah, I would say that that's why I wanted to say that it is uh, it is exogenous to the model, because here the user only the user can tell that whether he is aligned with bhakti or not. And user, if he is a bhakt, he knows he will not have any like while he actually tries to model his swabhav, right? So you have to model the swabhav. That's the only way to actually know whether you are aligned with good or bad, right? So when you try to model the swabhav using this questionnaire, the form that I shared, that based on that, bhakta will naturally he will he will understand that okay, this is actually uh, like I don't have any grudges, or I don't have any remorses, for example. Like, how do you know that you have remorse or not? Do you have any grudges or do you have any remorses? That's something that you already know from within, right?
Nahi,
In a way.
Tejasvi, that is on an individual level. What I'm trying to
Uh,
understand is at a model level, you are
mhm.
saying that there is some structure for karma,
uh,
for the law of karma, and
uh,
there is the concept of karmic debt, and that karmic debt in your model is defined by how far away your individual karma matrix is from the Narayani matrix.
uh,
है ना? So
uh.
that difference, how far away that is, it is judged on some measure.
It's
That
a Euclidean.
measure has to be dharma, na?
That
That
measure
measure
is your
cannot be
karmic
different
debt.
for me and for you and for this thing. how far away we are on that measure, that can be different for each of us.
Yes.
But the measure itself is absolute.
Yes, measure is absolute.
So that is what I was asking. Okay.
Yes, measure is absolute. Yeah.
Okay.
Measure is absolute.
Let's move to the next question. So symmetry breaking. You talk about symmetry breaking. So just briefly tell us a little bit about this. Does this mean at an individual level ki something happens to you, you lose balance, you lose stress, stress comes in, disorder comes in. So what is the symmetry? How does the symmetry break? Why does it break and does it get back? So this concept I would like to understand a little bit.
Okay. So symmetry is something that doesn't change, basically doesn't change the observation or experience fundamentally. For example, an electron rotating about the nucleus, right? So that can be explained using U1 symmetry. So it's a symmetry because the transformation that is happening to that electron vector is just basically a matrix operation, a matrix operation that is moving it from, let's say, one point in the space to another point, right? So fundamentally, it is not changing; it's always true. So symmetry is something that preserves that fundamental behavior of that entity. Now, symmetry breaks due to it depends on the situation. The symmetry can break. What happens when symmetry breaks is that when you sort of are not able to basically hold on to that because this requires some sort of discipline, having that symmetry in life. Symmetry where you are fundamentally unchanging experience. You're going through an unchanging experience that requires some sort of discipline in life, right? And goes the same for the subatomic particles also, that we have this symmetry breaking when we have, let's say, proton and proton, right? Proton couplet. They uh, they will repel each other because inside the nucleus, proton and proton couplets are present. They repel each other because of the electromagnetic force, right? So if they are not going to be stable for a long time. Essentially, if this couplet forms also, due to the nature of repulsion, it will break into some stable form, like either a proton-neutron pair, right, or a neutron-proton pair. So essentially, the symmetry is breaking there. It's not able to hold on to that, let's say, proton-proton symmetry. So that's what it means at the subatomic level. And same thing we can apply it at a personal level also, that basically symmetry is breaking when you go into tamasic mode and you are not able to maintain that purity, that discipline. Then you start to have this, your behavior sort of breaks and you experience the withdrawal effects, like, okay, or you start to have a violent behavior, or you start to have these graha doshas essentially. So that's what the idea is here. The symmetry breaks when you're in tamasic, when you go into tamasic mode, and there's no purity there. Like purity or more, purity goes away essentially. In case of particle physics, purity here means that, okay, at a high temperature, at very high temperature, proton-proton couplet is stable, but as the temperature falls, this stability breaks. Proton-proton couplet may not be present; it may not exist anymore. So it decomposes into a proton-neutron sort of couplet, and essentially gives you an alpha decay sort of.
Right.
So yeah, that's what symmetry breaking means.
So Tejasvi, thank you so much for taking us through your model, the book. Now, one question: where can users and viewers, viewers, buy the book if they're interested in reading it? So the book's name, viewer, is
Bhagwan the Abstraction.
Bhagwan the Abstraction, the Vedic theory of consciousness emanating from the superconsciousness.
Yes.
But
So
Bhagwan
they
the
can buy
Abstraction
it.
is the name of the book, Bhagwan the Abstraction.
Yes. Yes.
So
they can buy it from Motilal Banarsida's website. I've already shared the link with you, and they can also buy it from Amazon and Flipkart. I'll share the links with you for that. For that also, and yeah, And thank you for having me on this show, Akshayji. Thank you for inviting me and giving this opportunity.
नॉट एट
Uh,
ऑल तेजस्वी, थैंक यू वेरी मच, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद कि आप इस पे आए. एंड आई
thank you so
होप कि
much.
और लोग आए जो आपकी ये पुस्तक पढ़ें, उस पर और डिबेट हो, डिस्कशन हो. मैं तो मैथमेटिशियन नहीं हूँ तो मेरे लिए ये पूरी तरह से उसको समझना शायद पॉसिबल नहीं था, बट बहुत ही इंटरेस्टिंग कॉन्सेप्ट है ये. और मैं चाहता हूँ कि ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा लोग आपकी बुक्स पढ़ें, स्पेशली जो फिलोसफर्स हैं, धर्म समझते हैं बट साइंटिस्ट भी हैं. तो धर्म और मैथ्स स्पेशली के जो ज्ञाता हैं वो लोग ये पुस्तक पढ़ें और उस पर डिबेट हो, क्योंकि पहली बार हिस्ट्री में एक हिंदू थ्योरी ऑफ एवरीथिंग पे कोई एफर्ट हुआ है. तो उसके लिए बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद तेजस्वी जी.
Thank you. And actually, on that note, मैं ये बोलना चाहूँगी, this is the most simplest theory of everything, I would say. क्योंकि जिसको भी matrix multiplication, whoever knows matrix multiplication, I think a class 12 person also knows matrix multiplication, right? He can also understand this theory. So it is actually the simplest theory of everything, and it is beautiful because it is in agreement with the shastras, and it's nothing new. It's like it was already there in Bhagavad Gita. Also, we have heard about these three modes of living, right? Sattvic mode, Rasic mode, Tamasic mode. In Sankhya Darshan also, we have heard about it. It's just that maybe I have just put them together in a mathematical model, but it was already there, like I would say. And definitely, I've extended this to include law of karma also. That's I would say, my contribution here. But yeah, the Sankhya Darshan is already there. It's just that mathematically, put it into an equation. And I'd say it's the simplest theory for everything. So compared to other theories like, I don't know, string theory or quantum gravity theory.
वन लास्ट क्वेश्चन.
Yeah.
आपको इसके लिए डिवाइन इंस्पिरेशन मिला? आपके इष्ट देव जगन्नाथ हैं, आप
हाँ.
जगन्नाथ भक्त हो, तो इसके लिए आपको डिवाइन इंस्पिरेशन मिला भगवान जगन्नाथ से?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Many miracles have happened in my life. Ever since I started writing this book,
अच्छा,
many miracles have happened. Like Bhagwan ने मुझे दर्शन ही दिया एक तरह से.
इसके बारे में कुछ बोलना चाहेंगे आप कि नहीं?
Sure, I can discuss
बोलिए.
about it. Like definitely, basically. So the thing is that yeah, I mean, when I was trying to come up with this equation, basically, when I on some level I know that this equation is there. I was very close to this, right? So when I was actually able to think about it, and then I thought more deeply. Basically, the idea was that okay, I was able to visualize this equation at the quantum level, right? When we have this conscious vector in the form of a 3 into 1 vector, right? But I was trying to extend it, and by the time I already had thought, okay, the conscious vector can go up to 12 expand up to 12 dimensions. But the gap there was that I was not able to understand that, okay, where does this how does the Hankar matrix explain the Einstein's field equations there, because there's 10 different aspects of Einstein's field equations. So then I was then it sort of went into this deep thought, and then suddenly I had this basically I would say this idea that okay, what if the 10 Mahavidyas are actually not 10 but they are 12? What if there's there's some Gupt knowledge about it? Then it's sort of things connected, things aligned, and then I kind of extended it further, and like I went to Jagannath Puri also that year, and I had this. I actually had this sort of wish that okay, I want to actually come up with this idea or come up with this theory. So actually, it happened in the same year. By the time I returned, and then I started thinking about it, and things aligned, and as a Jagannath Bhagwan's blessing, and things worked out amazingly, beautifully well in terms of this equation. It's so simple, and coincidentally, it was able to explain the 12 houses in astrology, the 9 planets. That all these things fell into place, right? Fell into place. Everything fell into place perfectly. So in a way, I would say it was divine sort of help that divine blessing that helped me frame this uh, theory in a way, I would say.
Tejasvi, thank you so
Yeah.
much. Jai,
Thank you.
Jai Jagannath.
Jai Jagannath.
Jai Jagannath.
Jai Jagannath.